Okay, sorry. So yeah, so the purpose that we saw all around, that everybody wanted to think of education as something to give you a job or to learn, but obviously we didn't like that. We thought it should be more defined as it's should be defined as living. Actually, an education and living can be synonymous. They are, according to us, synonyms. Uh, which led us to thinking that, hey, if that is the case, then I'm the leader of myself. That's the biggest thing. Can I give that leadership to the child? So that's where we started our journey, and we still continue the same thing. So we believe that a child can take over leadership, and we can be then the support. So yeah, so the whole idea of education is to do but live. Yeah. Okay. We also feel that it helps if there is a kind of not just helps. It is beautiful if there is a community around to be part of the child's journey, and which is where we work with a lot of parents who are not work with, actually we all work together, rather learn together, parents, children as a community, which leads into different connections with each other, collaboration with each other, mm, a lot of learning, which gets just because we get exposed to different people, and a lot of coaching, mentoring, supporting, guiding that invariably happens when there is a group of people around. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's what we are. Um, Okay, I would like to summarize the whole Arohi as a space of co-creating, co-learning, co-supporting, co-living. Yeah. So let me end this very quick introduction with a small 1 minute video, which is shot by made by one of the Arohi children, and it is about life at Arohi. Yeah. So let's just watch this 1 minute video, and then we can move over to Chaitanya. Yeah.
Connecting with people is amazing.
I like chit-chatting with my friends while eating.
An opportunity to take all the guests around the tour, around the campus.
Currently, I'm working on improving myself so I can play in a club next year.
I get resources and support to fulfill my passion for sketching.
I sketch many things of animals, birds.
In Arohi, I am a guest and I can find my space here, pursuing my interest on upcycling.
I drum to express my emotion and it makes me feel lighter. In bird watching, I learn a lot of things. What is color of bird, and
I like the time when I spend with the community playing sports.
I spend time doing projects related to cinematography and video editing.
I like organizing trips in Arohi क्योंकि your opportunity is to organize trips.
Video making is awesome. It's productive and you get an awesome outcome.
I like to do electrical work. I've put many.
I connect with the planning here, gives me clarity.
I like playing with the cats. I learn crochet and teach others crochet.
எனக்கு சமைக்கிறதுக்கு இங்க ரொம்ப பிடிக்கும்.
All the resources here are new to me to explore.
Okay, so that was a quick, let's call it introduction. Okay, so I don't want to share any more, so we can, I'm just give me. Yeah, okay. Priti, I think you will have to do this. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So I think we can hand over the Zoom call to both of you and listen to your journey. And yeah, I'm eagerly waiting for that. Yeah, so over to both of you.
You start. Thank you, Aditi and Ratnesh, for this wonderful opportunity. Before I begin, I have to share this that I started following Arohi Life Education when I started writing for Teacher Plus. That was the first time I got to know that there is a space like this in Bangalore. I think it was around 2013 when my first article was published, and that was when I read the magazine for the first time, and there was also your article. And I was like, wow, such a school exists, such a space exists for learning. And since then, I have been wanting to visit Arohi. This year we had planned, but COVID kind of ruined things for us. I'm hoping I can soon come there and spend some time along with my children. So at that time, my children used to go to school. And the second, I think, someone very close to us, Neeta Damani, Neeta and Rajneesh Damani. I think Neeta worked with y'all. So when I told her that, this is the place I want to go to, she was like, oh, I know them so well. So yes, so somewhere it feels that we know each other very well. And I'm really happy to be here on this platform today. So now about our unschooling journey, I think it started long ago in a way, because we always felt that our children were misfits in school. So we kept trying out different various other various options in schooling. Sometimes it was an alternate school, sometimes a regular school, sometimes an open learning space. And finally, it was in around 2017, early 2017, around June, July, that I got to know that there was an unschoolers camp that was happening in Udaipur. And I felt, wow, this is something that my oldest would love to attend. And that's when our interactions with Vidhi and Manish started. And they were like, okay, but he still goes to a school. I said, no, not a school this time. It's an open learning space. So he could attend. And he spent a month there. I went to pick him up, and I met many families who unschool. I met many parents. I spoke at length with Vidhi and Manish. And they said, why don't you attend LSUC? So we attended LSUC at Bangalore, and I attended only 2 or 3 sessions because my youngest daughter was really small. And so I was most of the time in the park with her. But the sessions I attended were of Dola Dasgupta and Aditi. And that was when I knew that, yes, this is the path that we want to follow. And yeah, life changed after that. We came back and we were in the unschooling journey. We experimented with a learning space too for a year. However, my children at that time, who were initially excited about the learning space, and then they said that, no, we don't want timings. We don't want anybody, any structure in our life at present. We are just enjoying unschooling, and we just want to be by ourselves and with y'all. And since I was their teacher too for a long time, it kind of, for them, they were like, Mama, we don't want you to do anything of that sort. And I was like, I'm not doing anything of that sort. But for them, even me being, in charge of a learning space was kind of, Mama, you're telling us what to do, kind of a thing. And then I realized that, yes, if we want to unschool, we have to go through it the entire way. And yes, we closed down the learning space. That was also the time when Chaitanya got transferred to Mumbai, and we were having a few personal challenges with my father being sick. And yeah, so we have been we've been enjoying the unschooling journey for about 2 years now. The first year was chaotic, and now we are into it, enjoying each moment, living in the present. In fact, now now even I support other homeschooling parents and parents exploring homeschooling and unschooling as an option. I write about homeschooling, unschooling. So yes, it's been a joyful journey. You want to add anything?
She's eaten up all the footage as usual.
Yeah, one data I think viewers would want is the age of your children now. Let's take that as a reference point.
Okay, so Aditya right now he's 15, our oldest. Aditya was one with whom the whole unschooling journey started, and we have a lot to thank him for. Sidhu, our middle guy, he's 12, and Tara is 6. So Tara hasn't actually been to school, and Aditya and Sidhu were in regular schools and then in open learning spaces. And I think it was because of schools only. I think we have to thank schools only for getting us started on this unschooling journey. Because every time I used to sit through that annual school program, and I used to wait for that blink and miss moment, when your child will come on stage and vanish, and you have to sit like school children waiting for them to come on stage. And I used to tell Sharmila every time somehow I don't feel something is right with all this. I mean, this is not what education should be, because everything had become so commercialized and sort of routine. And then when Aditya wanted to quit school after doing his free learning camp, when he wanted to quit school, so initially we said that as it is, he's in an open space, so not so much to worry about, it would be just one more step. It took us a long time to get onto the unschooling journey, because we weren't kind of in tune with what unschooling meant. We just thought that, he would continue to sort of learn or whatever at home. And so we thought that he would continue his passion or whatever after he had quit school. So for a month after he quit school, Aditya didn't do anything. Anything by I mean anything at all at home.
Month, I think it was more than
yeah.
a month.
And we used to get really agitated, because we used to think that, he's not doing anything. So we thought, pursue your passion, pursue your drawing, do some animation, do this, do that. So, and he wouldn't have any of it. I think in some way we should thank him for it, because it forced us to look into ourselves and ask us why we were pushing him to, search out a mission for himself or a career for himself. And thankfully we had each other. More I had Sharmila, because in a sense that we were able to talk it out and reassure each other that, and of course, thanks to a lot of reading material available on the net, which kind of reassured us that there is a better life and a better way of better way of learning for our children than what is available at present. And then after we took the plunge, then also there was a part of us which still was sticking to that whole structural learning space kind of thing. So for us, we thought that naturally we wanted company for our children, because that is one of the questions we come across the most, as in if your children are unschooling, I mean, how do they socialize? How do they, meet other children? So for us, the next step was to kind of start a learning space for ourselves. I think it was both our enthu, which was more in that learning space.
I think it was also our need more than the children's, because
Yeah.
the children wanted to just be by themselves. They didn't want anything. They just wanted their space, their home to themselves, their parents to themselves, and anybody. Yeah.
And we kind of, in a way, we were trying to create a school that we would have liked our children to be in. You know, a school where there were no structures, no
books,
no rigid rules or whatever. And then, of course, as we went along, and as there were some around 10 children in the school, and we used to have a lot of workshops and other workshops, mostly a lot of workshops every fortnight on education and free learning and, you know, any kind of passions and all that. So we realized that the children actually didn't like the structure part of it, that whole getting up in the morning and getting ready for, even though there was no school, but still there was some kind of an activity to be performed, regardless of whether you wanted to do it or not. Then also we had a lot of discussion, because we had invested a lot of time and money and our hopes into that. Sharmila had done a lot of work for that. And somehow it felt as if we were giving up a dream. But we realized, of course, that that dream was our dream, which we were trying to kind of, you know, put it on to our children. And thankfully, during that time, so we decided to call it off. And then we just let ourselves be. We went on a lot of trips after that, I remember.
Lot of travel.
Lot of travel.
I did, in fact, with the children. I went to Himachal, went to Udaipur, went here, there, and within Maharashtra too. Yeah.
And it was, I think for us, I don't know, I still don't know about the children, but for us, it was, I think it has been wonderful these past 2 years. The way our family has come together and the way we enjoy together and the way we are just comfortable in each other's spaces. I think now the only regret is that why didn't we do this earlier? So, yeah.
So, yeah, and to take it on, you know, generally, yes, a lot of people ask us this. So what do your children do? So then, you know, many a times I dish for answers and I kind of prepare a platter and say, you know, my oldest is doing this, my oldest is doing that, and my second one does this. But I think they're just living their life in the moment, whatever they feel like at that particular moment they do. So they don't really have any routine or any structure, or there's no this. Aditya, a few months ago, because when he turned 15, I was like, Aditya, maybe you should give your boards. And he was like, yeah, okay, that's a good thought. I said, you know, see, don't close all doors, keep the doors open. And do whatever you want, but keep all the doors open, and giving your boards opens up many doors. And he played along. He said, okay, and this, that. And then we went and I got a few books. I ordered books and stuff. And then he would not want to study. He would not want to open them. And I was like, yeah, what is this boy going to do when he grows up? He's 15 and I don't see him going anywhere. And while all this was happening, one fine day he comes up sometime in August. He came up to me and said, you know, Mama, I want to go to Auroville. I said, Auroville? He said, no, Kudrat is there. And he's asked me whether I can intern with him on filmmaking project that he's involved in. I was like, really? Do you really want to do that? And he was like, yes, I want to do it. This is what I want to do. And it's not only filmmaking, there's photography, there's creating posters for social media. There's a lot of things that are involved. So I was like, is that it? Or is it he just trying to give me excuses to be along with a bunch of other unschoolers that he enjoys being with? And then I said, okay, fine, if that's what you want. So all of us kind of said, okay, we'll all come, we'll make it a fun trip and we'll come and drop you and we'll see the place. And so in October, we went to Auroville and to drop Aditya. We spent a good 10 days out there and we drove down. So that was a beautiful experience. And we were back. He's been there for 2 months. We had to drag him back home, saying on the pretext that it was our birthday last weekend. So yeah, that was my birthday gift from Chetan. And he came and now he plans to go back again. He's flying back on the 16th. So he's enjoying himself. He's doing things that he wants to, and we are just there facilitating whatever he wants right now. Our son Sidhu is totally into gaming right now. So he has this bunch of friends, again, other unschoolers, homeschoolers all over the country, one sitting in Gurgaon, one in Bombay, one in Bangalore, and two others in Auroville, and they play together.
And they can play together for like 24/7.
24/7.
and all he needs is chips for sustenance. So I think we've got a very low maintenance child over here.
Yeah.
But yeah, and of course Tara does whatever she wants. She's not been to a school as yet, so she's just enjoying on the backs of her brothers, that she gets to do whatever she wants. So just today when we were working in the garden, so she was asking me that my friends tell me that I'm always out in the garden. So what does that mean? I said, that's okay, you're an outdoorsy person. So she said, what is an outdoorsy person? So I was like, somebody who likes to be outdoors. So she was saying, yeah, that means Sidhu is an indoors person. So that's a good,
Yeah. So Tara loves playing outdoors. So we have a garden flat here in Pune, and the common garden is also close by, just opposite. So she's mostly outside, playing on the swings and the slides, and she waits for somebody to come into the garden. The minute she sees someone, she's like, I'm going out to play. So that's what she is. She cycles, she skates, she hula hoops. She also has her gadget. So she, during her free time, she dances. She listens to music and dances a lot. In fact, she knows the lyrics of so many songs that even I hadn't heard earlier. So, and I'm amazed that she remembers the lyrics and the words correctly, because I remember I used to goof up all the songs and put in my own words when I was a child. So yeah, that's what she is. She's having a lot of fun. She's just being herself.
So, I mean, I needed to butt in somewhere. Yeah. So one thing that I personally realized as we went along our unschooling journey is that this whole unschooling business is not about, just probably taking the kids out of school or, stopping their formal education or whatever. And maybe unschooling as a word also limits it to just, either in school or out of school. I think more than the children, I think this whole 3 years journey, it has brought along a huge change in ourselves, because it has forced us to look very objectively as to what we do with our own lives. Because it's just not enough to say that we will let our children do whatever they would like to do or live their dreams or whatever. I think it's very important that we as parents realize that we also need to set an example by living or trying to do something which is our calling. So I'm a cartoonist by passion, and over the years, almost 20 years, I work in an oil PSU for the bread and butter. So when over the past 20 years, I have been cartooning on and off on a freelance basis. But whenever, I have never had the sort of the courage or whatever to, jump into cartooning, because I was always brought up to think that, you need to have a steady job, you need to have a settled job, you need to have a steady source of income, and you have certain responsibilities to fulfill. And these are this is the very same baggage that we pass on to our children. And we kind of were passing on to our children. Thankfully, now we don't. But I think we also need to get rid of that baggage ourselves, that, we need to conform to some sort of responsible citizen status or something like that. So even Sharmila, after I think, thankfully, because one thing to be thankful for the lockdown was that Sharmila also discovered a lot of different avenues to be creative. So she started her dot art, I think, yeah. And
so I guess, in fact, when I think about it, when the children were born and I gave up working full time because I felt that they needed me more. And then I became a teacher and started working with, going to school along with them as a teacher. Somewhere deep down, I felt I was very restless. This was not what I was meant to do, was what I kept feeling, but I didn't know. I felt totally suffocated with all the responsibilities and the duties that a mother or a wife or a person who manages the house has to play. And most often I used to say, I just don't know what do I want to do. And it used to be very scary. So when, I used to put all my attention towards the children. Are my children doing well? Are they eating well? Are they performing well in their exams? This was what I was about. And that was so stressful because it was not something that I wanted to do, but I felt forced to do. So I guess my deschooling just got over with the COVID beginning, because I really went on a spree. I started dot art. I picked up on my writing. There was somewhere a block in the way I wrote, and I was not enjoying writing because, I was kind of being, people wanted me to write with the semi-researched kind of articles where I quote from various research papers and books and interview others and write. But I was like, I'm not talking my heart. I'm not expressing myself. So my writing took shape. I started really voicing out what my inner feelings were or what my inner thoughts were. And yes, so for me, I feel now I understand what unschooling is. And unschooling is not only about children. It is about everybody. It is about following your inner voice. It is a way of life where you do what you want to and what you are really passionate about, keeping aside all, the baggage and everything, just throwing it everything that all the expectations of society and the general norms. Even today, people ask me, why don't I sell my dot art and make money out of it? And I'm like, yeah, I don't, if I tell them straight away that if I do that, I don't think I'll be able to dot art. I just want it to be my passion, and I love gifting my pieces. If anybody pays me, it's fine. I'm okay with it. But if they don't also, it's not going to stop me from making and giving it to them. Same with writing. People say, why don't you write for this magazine? This is a well-paying magazine. And there was this friend who called me and said, you're wasting yourself. Your articles you could be paid 5,000 or 10,000 per article. And I'm like, no, but that's not why I want to do it. Our bread and butter comes from a source. I'm okay with whatever we get. I'm not greedy anymore. So, there have been so many changes in the way I also look at life. Earlier, there was so much pressure on me and myself. My two sisters are doing super well in their careers, and they are well known in their fields. They're both in the US. So all the more our relatives feel that they are the cream of our family and so on. So I used to put that pressure on myself earlier that, oh, I have to work, I have to earn money, and I have to be independent. But now it's all gone. So it's so much more joyful and happy that things are so different. And so I guess, I think we've talked a lot, so we should open it up to questions.
So by now you must be knowing that we both love to talk.
That's quite beautiful. Yeah, I got also involved in listening to both of you. Yeah, so yeah, I think today I will not start with my question. If anybody who is with us right now in this webinar have a question for Chaitanya and Sharmila, you can either type in the chat window, or maybe you can come on the mic and then we can chit chat about what are you wanting to know more from both of them. Yeah, meanwhile, I think Aparna has put up which curriculum is better, IGCSE or NIOS?
We are the wrong people to tell you about that.
I would say the curriculum that you shaped for yourself.
I was about to say, you ask them which life curriculum do you follow. Maybe they will be able to tell you. Yeah, so Aparna, for your IGCSE or NIOS question, maybe a little later. Not that we can share which one is better, but we can talk about little more about that. How, in our experience, what different things one can pick up and why one would like to pick up that. So maybe we can take that little later. Meanwhile, if anybody has question, please either type in the chat window or maybe come on mic. And yeah, there is already a question. Is there a community for unschooler that meet often and learn from each other? Being a parent exploring this for the first time, and Shweta is thinking that the community helps. So, would you like to share? Yeah.
Yeah, there are many meetups and get-togethers that happen. Pan India, there is Swashikshan annual meet that happens once a year. Then you have LSUC, that's Learning Societies and Conference, which also happens once a year. Apart from that, Shikshantar from Udaipur, they organize something called Families Learning Together. And you know what's stopping you? You can, wherever you are, in whatever city you are in, you can connect with other homeschoolers, unschoolers, and you all can organize your own meetups. Like we have a very strong group out here in Pune, and we meet every now and then. We have potlucks and we have dinners and we go for outings. We just suddenly just plan up, call everybody and say, let's go to Mulshi today, or let's go here, let's go there. So there are a whole lot of things that one can also initiate, and so.
Shweta, which city are you in? Maybe that can then Sharmila can also help you if that's a city based. She's in Bangalore.
Oh, wow. Bangalore is also such a strong community.
Yeah, Shweta, you can actually on Facebook, you can check and then you can connect with more people. There's a Homeschooling India, which Sharmila leads, and there is another one, Homeschoolers Nook, which was earlier specifically for Bangalore. Right now, I don't know what's the status, but you can still browse and then check. Sharmila, you want to talk a little more about Homeschooling India? That's the Facebook page, right?
So Homeschooling India group was actually formed by this amazing person called Saurav Datta, who's who's passionate about learning and how learning happens. And he has a few other projects also called Project Nomad, and where he puts up documentaries on different initiatives around learning. And so he started this group about 3 to 4 years ago, and it so far had only about 500, 600 members. COVID changed it all. Suddenly, from those few people, the number of members jumped to more than 10,000 in a matter of 2-3 months. And that was when he was looking out for support. He said that, "Arey, ye to mere bas ki baat nahi hai. I have so many other things to do." And that's when I knew him from earlier, because we had interacted a few times, and I had given him references to many learning spaces around the country, which he is now one by one taking up to create documentaries on. So he said that, "Why don't you come on the admin team?" So I said, okay. And then the first few weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, all I was doing was approving posts and members. And I was like, Saurabh, main ye nahi kar sakti hu. This is the worst thing one can do. I can do other things. So he said, like what? I said, let's do something. And then there were other people also on the team. I said, let's do something like Saturday lives. Let's have parenting circles. Let's create a group which is actually a support group and helps. And that's where, we all came together. Some of the admins are actively involved in answering queries and ensuring that people get the correct perspective of homeschooling, unschooling. And I mainly lead the Saturday lives, and I do parenting circles. Currently, a couple of them. One is for parents of children between 5 to 11 years, and one group is, which we have recently started, for parents with 0 to 5-year-old children, because big lot of them on the Homeschooling India group, their children are not yet ready for school, and they're super worried about what learning, how learning. They're not happy with schools, and they're figuring out what parenting is. So that's a new group that we have just formed.
Yeah, so it's an online space. Is that what?
Yes. Right now it's all online space. Online space. We are hoping that, once this whole COVID thing is done and over with, people organize meetups. So we are going to be facilitating meetups in various cities, and seeing, if people in different cities are willing to take up the lead and have meetups and get-togethers and different activities for people from their town or cities.
Yeah. So back to your unschooling journey. You said the first year were chaotic. So do you want a little more talk about it? Because that's the most crucial part, which I guess it brings either a lot of worries, or people give up, or go back to, or start doubting their own decisions. So maybe the stories from that period.
We have plenty, so I think that was the first year, was also when I was trying to run the learning space, and I used to get totally dejected that none of my children were supporting me. And Tara at that time used to attend a small play group kind of preschool, a Montessori place, and she was just 3. So that even I would get a breather. And so she would want to be in the space throughout all the time, and she wouldn't want to go to her play group place. And I would be like, what's happening? My boys for whom I've started this don't want to do this. They don't want to wake up. And you know how children are, when they don't want to do something, you wake them up, they'll say getting up. And then you go down and you get some other work done. You come back and see they're still sleeping. And you're like, oh, the other kids will come. Why aren't you all getting up? And it used to get so irritating and frustrating for me as a parent. And Chetan, Chetan had those, when we started the space, told me that you start on, I'm going to quit my job and we'll do it together. And I'm like, when are you going to quit your job? You pushed me into something and you're not around. I do want to do this. And he was like, yeah, where will the rent for the space come from?
Yeah, because it used to cost us a lot.
Yeah.
And at that time, we hadn't even figured out, where we were going to get the money from. We just jumped into it. And I think, and I do realize now that this whole idea of unschooling is also a very romantic idea, in the sense that it feels very nice to hear that. But it's a very tough journey. I'll be very frank that it's a very tough journey unless everybody is into it and everybody is willing to look inwards and ask themselves the questions, why? As we want this, or why do we want this kind of validation, or why do we want this kind of space? And there are no fixed, the only rule is that there are no rules.
Yeah, Dwij is saying it's like every romance.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah, it's tough to understand the other person.
The honeymoon finishes off very fast. And
yeah. I think the turning point for me came when we had organized an animation workshop at home. And my oldest attended because I said, Aditya, you should at least you attend. And so he attended. My second son refused to attend it. He spent the entire time upstairs and he didn't come down. And the workshop had around 25-30 participants, children and their parents also. And it was fun. There was a lot of fun happening. This boy of mine he refused to come down and participate in anything. And 2 weeks after the animation workshop, I saw him creating characters out of clay and filming them. And that was the first animation film that he made. And for me, I was like, oh, so this is how learning happens. This is how it is.
And both of us were mildly embarrassed that our children not participating in the program in our house.
Yeah. And that kind of, helped me see. And then, I was like, yeah, I have read John Holt. I have read so many other books, but I had never experienced it, right?
Yeah.
Experienced it, I said, oh, this is how it happens. And this is it. And I think that's when that turning point came. And slowly and steadily, I realized that I need to give up on a lot of things that I was conditioned to do.
Mm-hmm.
I, basically telling my children what they should wear, what they should not wear, what they should eat, what they should not eat, when they should take a bath, when they should sleep. And when I slowly and steadily pulled myself out, they started regaining trust in me. And then, the relationship became beautiful.
So one of the question which is normally asked at this stage is, what about academics? Where were you in terms of academics? Because when you shift from, say, schooling to, there's a path which happens for many of us. So then how did you work that out for yourself?
See, good question. So in fact, there's a lot of thought that I have put in this question also. So when I taught in the school where my children went, my major grouse was with the whole system. I was like, yeah, children are not allowed to do what they want to. If they're just getting into a theme, I used to teach themes. So they're just getting into that concept. bell bajti hai, chalo, shift to another subject. I would feel that was so unfair. In fact, I was a couple of times, the other teachers had come banging my class door saying, "Arey yaar, you are not opening the door. It is our class now." And I would just smile and say, "Sorry, my children are so engrossed in this. I cannot, I cannot stop them from what they're doing." So that realization and that awareness was there. So I knew that I did not want to focus on academics at all. Also, my oldest was a self-learner right from the beginning. So whenever we would buy textbooks, within 2 days, he would finish reading them and then say, "What is the point of me going to school? I've finished reading them." He learned to read by himself. He learned to write by himself. And the problem at school was that they wanted formations, alphabetical formations in particular way. But because he had self-learned, all his formations were different. And they would get angry, saying that, no, he can't write H like this. It has to start from top and then go down. It can't go from this side and up. So, there would be so many of these discussions that I would have with them, that I would say that, no, he's learning. And so I was always there. I always felt that my children knew a lot more than what was being taught in school, and school was super boring for them. So which is why we experimented also with different schools, alternate and open learning spaces and so on. So I was okay. I was okay that academics is not part of it. And I knew that from my own experience that I learn only when you really need that information. You don't learn without it. Otherwise, it's just mugging up and vomiting in the papers.
So to summarize it, so to summarize it, we are not really all that worried about academics as such, because if they really want something that needs them to have degrees or whatever, our idea is that they will get it. The whole is that if you want something, you will have to work. This is the way that we can guide them, that this is the way that they would need to go if they do something. But just a degree or a mark sheet cannot be a goal for them. So we are not really we are not very insistent on them having any academic kind of knowledge. They are gaining a lot of knowledge through whatever means that they are learning.
Yeah, so Chaitanya, you said two things together, which is quite beautiful. One you said is that we are not worried. At the same time, you also said whenever they want, they will get it. This combination that it's not that I'm not worried just like that. It's not that I'm not worried because I don't care for the world. I'm not worried because I can see children gaining whatever they want to gain, whenever they want to gain, including like you were talking about Sharmila, or like, that when you wanted to pick up dot art, you picked it up by yourself. As you're saying that, so that's quite important for us to recognize that, where our worries are coming from. Yeah. And if we can understand that learning pattern, and that's what I guess
it's also, if I may add, it is also because of our love and concern for our children. That we want it to be easy for them. We want things to be easy for them. We want to equip them with all tools that will make it easy for them. So the best analogy that I can think of is that if I feel that my child is, if say Aditya or Sidhu is hungry, then I'll as a parent, as a loving parent, what I would think is I will think, okay, I'll ask him, okay, do you want something to eat? So I'll think for him. I'll think, okay, he will like a very nice sandwich. So I'll take some bread out, I'll take jam, this, that, I'll make a very nice sandwich for him. And I'll tell him, okay, here's your, and he'll tell me, no, I don't want to eat this. I want to eat a sandwich. So now, an analogy, now what we do is that everything is available to them.
Yeah.
Knives, they know how to operate the gas. So if they want anything, you have the tools. If there are some tools that you can't operate, like for example, the oven or whatever, you take her help. Otherwise, those tools are there. You choose and you make your own sandwich.
Yeah, so you learn to fetch for yourself, so you are there, but you as a parent, you're always there available to them.
Yes.
And you added something quite nice, is that a thinking part. I'm there with you, I'm there to create a support system for you, but I'm also letting you lead and choose your, including sandwich to your career.
And also one thing which is very important is that, I mean, I think we have gotten to a stage where we truly believe what we are doing believe in what we are doing. Otherwise, that kind of fear creeps into your actions. If some fear at the back of your mind, that maybe, they should have some kind of degree, or maybe they should be doing something. There are no halfway measures in this. Either you are full-fledged into it, either you say that if there are some fears, they get passed on to your children, and in some ways it's not a learning process. It's not so much fun.
It unsettles them also, because there are so many other aspects which are unsettling them. So what I'm hearing, what you're saying is that if the home can stabilize, then they can move ahead fearlessly. Bhavika is asking, I live in Mumbai and my child does online schooling. He's 5 years and he's interested in nature. What can I do to steer him in that direction?
Start a garden at home. In your terrace, even a small plant, just along with him. And apart from that, Bombay does have Sanjay.
Yeah.
And there are so many things that are activities that keep happening there.
To give another example, Aditya, at one point of time, when we had started the journey, or maybe a little before that, he was tremendously interested in snakes. So he used to be crazy about snakes, like anything to do with snakes. We bought him books, this, that. So every fortnight, not every fortnight, every week, I think.
Yeah, every Sunday.
Every Sunday, I used to take him to Katraj Snake Park. Every Sunday, and he used to just go there, and it became a kind of ritual for him to, just go there, and he kind of felt good. Of course, that developed into any kind of we were quick to jump, obviously, at that time, that, oh yeah, he's found his calling in life, that serpentologist or something. But that was a passing phase. But he was quite happy to learn in that way, and I think that built some kind of bond between us.
I think all he would do was go and stand in Katraj Snake Park and watch the snakes. He used to watch, I think, and he could go on for hours, to see how they come out, what they're eating, when are they fed, who is feeding them, how is that person feeding them. I think that was it. He didn't even want to talk about it. And I would be at home because I was pregnant with Tara at that time. And I would eagerly ask him, so what did you do today? And how was it? And what snake did you find? And he would not say anything. He would just say, yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
And we drew the line at not having a snake in the house.
He wanted a snake as a pet. There's so many things.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so to add to Bhavika, what I think Sharmila is saying, I think nature, just start wherever the child is, and maybe at this moment he is inclined towards nature. Maybe we really don't know what else they can explore give them that exposure, be with them, take them to places around. If it is right now lockdown not possible, start at home with some plants, observing some whatever the bugs are there. Something must be there around, which you can explore, experiment, and just play around with. That you don't need to actually bring any direction for him, as Sharmila and Chaitanya is saying. So just go. Aditya will just go to the snake park and they just be there with the snake. Yeah, you don't need to give a direction to at this moment when they're just beginning, and they find their direction as they get more deeper into.
So, in fact, to share something, Tara was into insects some time ago, about a year ago, and she would want to go for walks to spot insects. And I used to take her to the library and I would pick out the insect books. And then one fine day she told me, but I don't want to see these books.
This is like the sandwich thing.
It's like sandwich thing.
So then I realized that, she knows how she wants to learn about. And there used to be times, when she would herself turn on the TV. Now we have the Fire Stick, so go on YouTube and tell Alexa, insect videos. And she could sit and watch, but she didn't want me to bring in insect.
Yeah. Maybe she knows when to go for the book. She knows that the books are available.
Right. So, a big lesson that I learned was, as a parent, don't get over enthusiastic. Just provide everything on the platter. The children know what they want and they will ask for it, and they will try their own ways of getting it, and when they feel that they want you to help them, they will ask for it.
So Bhavika, hope that answers your whatever you were asking, and it gives you some direction to what you're looking for. We are reaching near 6, Sharmila.
Yeah, and he was like, my God, we have to talk for 30-35 minutes. Too much. I don't know, the time will just pass.
Yeah, so if you can also type your phone number if you're okay, people to connect with you, and also you can check on Facebook page Homeschooling India to connect with Sharmila more apart from. So before we close, Chaitanya and Sharmila, is there anything you want to share, something from your experience or your journey, or anything? People who are here.
Yeah, definitely. One thing I would definitely say, I think we learned it, and I'm so thankful that our Aditya helped us learn it very early on as parents, is that we need to enjoy parenting. It's not some responsibility that you owe to society and to your children, that that you have to take care of them and you have to make them into mold them into great human beings or successful people, or people who make fame, because it's not nothing of that. The journey itself is so beautiful, and once you start enjoying the tiny moments of it, I think parenting just becomes a goal in itself. It's wonderful.
Wonderful thought. Yeah, I think, and often we don't look at parenting from that perspective, that it becomes a chore actually.
Yes, it does.
After some time it becomes a chore. Yeah. Sharmila, anything?
I think Chetan has ended it so beautifully. I think that's it,
So for once I get to have the last word.
So it good to not start. Sharmila started and then you are so you have the final word. Yes. So yeah, anybody want to ask anything, or you want to connect with Sharmila anytime, and Chaitanya, both of them, listen to them, whatever experiences or anything you want, definitely stay in touch with them, with us, any which way. And yeah, if any other question is there, we can take one or two if it is there. Otherwise, we can close the session. Pushpa is saying thanks.
Yeah, Pushpa is a good friend.
Okay.
We used to work together in Mysore when we were. So hi, Pushpa. Nice to see you here.
So Pushpa, you can now connect more and exchange your stories. Yeah, she's quite delighted. That was wonderful sharing. Yep. Yeah, it's quite interesting for me also, Sharmila and Chaitanya, to listen to both of you. Just the 3 years, and then it seems that we just met. Just yesterday, we met in LSUC with you guys, with the dog around, and and how things have evolved, including that one romantic year beginning, and how you have sailed through, and quite nice to see that how you're able to see and create that what you wanted to create for you as well as for the family.
And one last thing, I know I'll.
Sure.
So it's that Sharmila has put up her number, and it is definitely we both realize that it's a tough journey, and it's often very nice to just have a sounding board sometimes.
Yeah.
So if anybody feels like just talking, and because once you share and once you get another perspective, I think things look a little more clearer.
So I think I also don't need to now conclude, Chaitanya. You have done it for me.
Oh, even I've done that. Okay. So I made you a sandwich.
Yeah, because it's really supportive to see people who are and I actually I keep telling everybody, anyone you call from the homeschooling unschooling community, and then people are there to support, because they know that they have gone through some journey, and it will help others if we can help each other. So it's quite a beautiful community. Do connect with any one of us, and whatever support we can give, I think we are all here to give you the support. So thank you. Bhavika is saying that she will definitely connect, and yep. So to conclude, anything Ratnesh you want to share?
No, it's been beautiful listening to both of you, and it's so I'm just saying it's so heartwarming that to have you out there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
It was fun. It was really a lot of fun.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. We'll just close the meeting now, and thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Chalo, Lee.